note creates all these overtones. So I'm going to kind of, I don't know, you didn't come to the first class. So I'm just going to rush through. I have a little booklet and you're welcome to read it. Now. So all these overtones come. So then I said that a note, and it's either doubling or halving, is virtually the same note. It's only vibrating at a different frequency. So those higher overtones of one particular vibration, I kept having them and having them and having them until I brought everything down between the first vibration that I had and its doubling. And I took a look at all those overtones as I kept bringing them down by half until they fit into a row. And the first row that I had was this one that I numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which we come to know as the major scale, and that is on page 5 is kind of where I'm.
That was your first course.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I'm just doing.
Is that your second or your third one?
What's that?
This course.
Number 3.
This is number 3,
Okay.
but you weren't here, so I'm just going to kind of review really quick, and then when I get to some place you go, huh? And then let me know, okay?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so what I did was I lined up all the vibrations, and that's on page 5. By this example, you'll be able to go back and look at this example. And then I said that this is the part I don't think you got yesterday. So you got major scale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Indian musicians, this is the major scale, has 8 tones in it. This note, and then it's doubling, and then all the notes in between. So Indian musicians use these syllables: sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, and sa. Okay? The Italians had a very similar system, and this is what's used in the classical world: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do, like that. Okay? So this is called solfeggio. This is called sargam, and this is just simply called, a number system for naming the notes of an 8-note scale. So then we keep going to the higher overtones and keep doing the same thing and bringing them down. In Western music, we end up hearing 12 notes between a note and its octave. Okay, 12 notes. Indian music hears something like 18. There are other cultures that hear things a little differently, maybe, but in natural physics, as the Western musicians and what we're doing in the Sufi music and the dances of universal peace music, we hear a 12-note scale. It's called a chromatic scale. And so by numbers, here's the major scale: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we started naming the rest of the notes in proximity to the other notes. They're not really related to it, but they have a sort of a similar name. They're just like a neighbor note. So we have like flat 2, 1, flat 2, 2, flat 3, 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 6, 6, flat 7, 7, and 8. You can also use a sharp name. If you take a look on page 25 of the book, I put it on the piano keyboard so you'll recognize that there's the black keys and the white keys are there. So these notes here are the black keys with the sharps or the flats. Okay. So far so good. Yeah. The Indian musicians, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. Well, let's go back over here. This is solfeggio. So do re mi. So do re mi fa sol la ti do is what's for the major scale. These other notes, the 12 notes that make up a chromatic scale, the Italians put down do, ra, re, mi, fa, se, sol. Excuse me, that would be sol. Yeah, le, la, te, ti, and do. So they have a syllable for each little. That's called a hat for each little step of the scale. Okay. Under the sargam system, they don't use that. They just have sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. You just sing the right note in the scale as you need to. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So then I said that the vibration of 440 cycles per second the whole world over is called A. So half of that at 220 is also an A. That's an octave. Half of 220 at 110 is an octave. Half of 110 to 55 is an octave. All those notes are called A. They're just in different frequency vibrations. The same goes in the other direction. Have I caught up to everybody? Got caught up with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, on page, let's see where I put that, so I don't have to write it on the board. 1 second. It's in here somewhere. Page 6, for example, I have the 12 notes to an octave kind of laid out kind of carefully. So with both the numbers and the sargam system, in the solfeggio system. Using this system, A equals 440, so everybody in the whole world can agree with each other. On page 7, I have the 12 notes to an octave laid out in the alphabetical system. Okay? So there's a different name for each one. From there, stuff got erased a little bit by accident from my board. So page 9, this relationship here of the numbers in relationship to the 12 note scale, I've written down all the major scales that we use. Now you can obviously, some notes are sharp, some notes are flat. So musicians have made an agreement more or less that if they have a certain vibration, they're going to either call it a flat scale or a sharp scale, and that's kind of a convention. Most of this comes out of the contemporary music based on jazz musicians and the way the horns work. So everybody's kind of agreed that this is probably the best way to name the major scales based on certain vibrations. Does that make sense? Okay.
And the minor scale are going to be...
Well, we'll get to that's minor scales coming.
It's another...
That's the next coming up on the subject
So
here.
I was thinking the major scale was just like the normal notes without the flats.
This is the major scale. If any vibration that you have, if you take a look at the overtones, that is the natural physical sound. A single vibration creates a major scale. It's the basic building block of music. It's a naturally occurring phenomenon. Every vibration, if you look at all the overtones, creates what we call the major scale. And we hear it. Everything else we do in music, we play little games. It's always against this core vibrational physical reality that we hear the difference in relationship to the major scale because that's the basic phenomenon that we hear. Okay, makes sense?
I have a question. This
Yeah, please go.
is probably way outside of the format, but I guess one thing that's always sort of mystified me is that I suppose a trained musician is able to see a note on a on a written music notation, or have someone sing fa, and they'll be able to hear that note in their head and know where they're going.
Yeah.
Does everyone have equal aptitude for that thing, and it comes only through practice?
No,
or
some
are there
people
some
are.
aptitudes, some with much more aptitude than others? I was wondering how
Okay.
people get there.
Yeah, here you go. Some people have something called natural pitch. My friend Kathleen has perfect pitch. I mean, she can hear something, pick up a guitar and just play it. I mean, it's a gift. Not that many people have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that you learn is you develop a sense of relative pitch. So you have like one note that vibrates, and then you can learn how to discern how far that note is away from the original note that's vibrating. It's called relative pitch. So you'll know that you're singing 7 in relationship to 1. You'll be able to hear that. The 7 might be down here, in a lower vibration than the 1.
So that's
But that you can actually practice that.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you practice it is just getting a 1, 2, 1.
So I guess is this
Do,
called
re,
pitch
do.
training? Is that what?
Pitch training. That's exactly right.